The sequel to The Old Guard, which was originally scheduled for release in 2024, has vanished from Netflix's 2024 release schedule. Given the dearth of information on the film, this isn't a good indicator either, even though it's not necessarily a bad one. The Old Guard, one of the best action films available on Netflix, was released 4 years ago, and the formal completion of the sequel's filming took place in September of 2022. Due to post-production delays, Halle Berry's science fiction film The Mothership was recently suspended by Netflix indefinitely. Fans are now concerned that The Old Guard the 2nd of May follow suit. For now, let's hope the first trailer and release date are quickly approaching. Thankfully, it appears that The Old Guard 2 will be well worth the wait. In fact, a third film may be in the works after the sequel is out. Producer Mark Evans told Variety in May 2023, "There's an ending that kind of demands a number 3, which makes me very happy." Though he didn't say it would happen. Behind the scenes, Gina Prince-Bythewood has been replaced as director by Victoria Mahoney, who has remained in her role as producer. On screen, though, the main characters reunited for yet another thrilling journey. The sequel was written by Greg Rucka, who also wrote the comic book that served as the basis for the film. Evans was very optimistic about a third film, possibly because he always saw the tale as a trilogy. However, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, here is all the information you require for The Old Guard 2 in this video. The Old Guard 2 potential release date. When can we expect The Old Guard 2? As previously stated, as of February 2024, there is no official release date for The Old Guard 2 on Netflix. We assumed The Old Guard 2 would be released in July 2023 since the original film, which debuted in July 2020, proved to be a hit on Netflix. But that never materialized. What is known is that the sequel was shot in locations such as Italy and the UK between June and September of 2022, so unless there are any reshoots, it is nearly complete. We're simply waiting for Netflix to confirm the official release date, so watch this space. The Old Guard 2 cast, who's coming back for The Old Guard 2. In the first film, there was just one significant casualty, Harry Mellings Merrick, who discovered the harsh consequences of meddling with Andy's crew. The primary cast, Charlize Theron as Andy, Kiki Lane as Niall, Matthias Schoenaerts as Booker, Marwan Kenzari as Joe, and Luca Marinelli as Nikki, will all be back in the follow-up. At the end of the first film, Chiwetel Ejiofor's Copley, having realized his mistakes, is entrusted with making sure the crew stays concealed from anyone who might harm them. Ejiofor's return has also been announced, but it's unknown if he'll play a significant part in the follow-up or will only appear as an M-like character. Veronica Ngo, on the other hand, appears to be returning to the role of Quinn in the sequel, though it's unclear if this would make her a friend or an enemy of the group. Quinn created a Japanese character in the comics called Noriko. The choice to alter it was made following Veronica Ngo's casting, and it does not imply that a different Noriko will appear in the follow-up. Veronica declared, "I'm Vietnamese, not Japanese," after being cast. Greg Rucka stated, "Director Gina Prince-Bythewood contacted me and asked if we could accommodate that. I said absolutely. Quinn turns becomes Noriko and is now Vietnamese. Really, all that was involved was trying to appreciate and honor it." Additionally, we might get to see more of Michael Ward as Lycan, a former member of the Old Guard. Though we witnessed his death through memories of Andy and Quinn's relationship, would there be more to his tale? Since he's the only immortal we know of who passed away, it might be a topic of discussion when we learn more about Andy and Quinn's connection. Uma Thurman and Henry Golding are the two new faces announced for the sequel. We're not sure who they will be playing with yet, or if they will be Andy and her team's ally or enemy like Quinn was. The Old Guard ending. How does it set up The Old Guard 2? 6 months after being expelled from the team for betraying, we meet up with Booker in Paris. To his surprise, Quinn, who had managed to survive an oceanic plunge, greets him as he enters his new home. She tells him, "It's nice to finally meet you," but that's all we get about Quinn's return. Until the sequel, we'll have to wait to find out if she's seeking revenge or if she's just happy to see Andy again. Force Multiplied, the second Old Guard comic book created by Rucka, similarly begins with Quinn's return. In the comic book sequel, Quinn reveals that she believes they were made immortal to cause suffering for humanity rather than to save it. This gives fans a hint as to what to expect. She also wants Andy to accompany her on her journey, and to once more be her lover. The fact that Andy is officially no longer an immortal is the other significant revelation that will affect the follow-up. When a stab wound from a previous fight in church doesn't heal, she realizes that every conflict could be her last. Andy thinks that this significant shift is the result of Niall's presence. "I think you showed up when I lost my immortality, so I could see what it was like. So I could remember what it was like to feel unbreakable. Remarkable. You reminded me there are people still worth fighting for, she explained. It's a significant departure from the comic book it's based on, but one that's necessary because it creates a tension that a film about immortal troops might not have had. That's about all the information we currently have about the sequel, but we do know that Theron's Andy will have an eye-catching new haircut. We needed something that felt like time had passed, so for that, you go with the all-mullet, Theron said. The Old Guard 2 trailer. Any footage from the Old Guard 2 yet? The Old Guard the 2nd of May have wrapped up production, but because there is still no release date, it will unfortunately be some time before we see any footage. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more.